I love being rejected by women. It sounds crazy, doesn't it? But I've actually had guys literally say that to me. And this might sound even crazier, but I actually don't think that it's that unhealthy for men to crave this sort of rejection from women, because at the very least, it shows that you're not scared of criticism. Like, I think to a certain extent, all of us can be a bit sensitive to the opinions of other people. Nobody really likes being criticized. Nobody likes being rejected. But if you think about it rationally, how many women out there actually have opinions that you should care about? Really, how many women actually have opinions that are worth listening to? Now, I understand that as a guy, you probably want a girlfriend and you've got sexual desires, and evolution has crafted you to respond to the social feedback of other people. I understand all of that, but just think about this rationally for a moment. How many women really can you say are worthy of judging you? Like, if some woman rejects you romantically because she says, oh, I only date men who have 100,000 followers on Instagram, or something stupid and superficial like that, are you really going to be upset about that? Are you really going to be like, oh, this woman's rejection hurts so much? Why would you give her that kind of power? Her opinion is obviously meaningless. It's not worth anything. So if you get upset about what she thinks, you let her judge your worthiness as a man, you've elevated her and your opinion of her far higher than it actually warranted. That actually reminds me of one of my recent Patreon videos where a guy was worried about deleting all of his Facebook and Instagram and all that nonsense because he thought that because women are attracted to men of status, how's he going to be able to demonstrate his status, to women and make them find him attractive? So that's a really good video for anybody who wants to delete their social media accounts. But understanding that not all women have have earned the right to judge you is one of the reasons why a lot of men really enjoy being rejected, because rationally they understand that they shouldn't be paying attention to the opinions of every single woman, but emotionally they're still sensitive to it. They still feel that pain, that sting of rejection, of being judged unattractive or undesirable as a man. And so they want to get rejected as a way of kind of testing themselves, you see. So they push interactions way further than they should be. They make it more explicit. They chase after women and they push for real reasons why they're getting rejected, because they want to test themselves. They want to explore that feeling of rejection, and eventually they want to numb themselves to that pain and make themselves stronger. That's why I don't think that it's crazy. I don't think that it's entirely irrational, because it's true, it works. When I was a lot younger and I was practicing social skills and doing the pickup stuff, we'd go out onto the streets, me and my buddies, and we would approach a bunch of girls, and always the first rejection of the day, and I got rejected a bunch, like you just do, but the first rejection, that always hurt. But, if you approach 10, 20, 30 women that day, you get a bunch of numbers, you get a bunch of successes, and then other things, they just don't work out for whatever reason. You just become numb to it. It's like friction that eventually builds up a callus, and you're kind of protected from the pain of rejection, and you feel so much stronger by the end of it. Although the psychology behind that is really not that interesting. That's just steeling yourself against pain. It's like building up a muscle. I think most people can relate to that. What I find psychologically really fascinating, and not those guys that want to numb themselves to the pain, they like the raw feelings of emotion that comes from rejection. They crave as much detail about why they're getting rejected as possible. They don't want a woman to be all, flighty and like, oh, I don't know, maybe, or oh, I'm just not interested, or anything like that. They don't want something vague. They want a woman to actually sit across from them and in excruciating detail list all of the reasons why she would not date him. Some men really crave that. Why? I find this really fascinating, which is why I want to explain it. To understand the psychology of this, you've got to realize that we live in a context where women are basically never honest about their reasons for rejecting a man. So, the guy asks the girl out and she says, oh, you're so sweet, it's just not a good time in my life, or, I think of you as a friend or a little brother, or maybe check back with me in 3 months, whatever nonsense. And the guy's not stupid. Like as social creatures, as inept as a lot of men can be, we know when we're getting rejected, right? We can feel it. She's saying no, despite whatever nicety she's dressing up in. Fundamentally, she's not into me, we're not going out, I've just been rejected. But then it's frustrating to not actually hear the rejection that in the cells of your body is actually occurring. You're not getting rejected explicitly, and that's really annoying. On the inside, he's losing his mind. He's thinking, why can't she just say it? Why can't she just say, I'm sorry, but you're too ugly. I'm sorry, I think I can do better. You're too short. I have better options. I'm still hoping my ex-boyfriend's going to come back into town. Whatever it is, but women, they won't do that. They're so rarely honest with a man, and that can drive a guy crazy. I know from personal experience. I've got this video that I want to put out. It's about Julia, this girl who burned me in this kind of way, and I'm going to release this video and all the lessons I learned about that interaction in my life once I reach 2,500 supporters on Patreon. So if you want to see how close I am to that goal, go and check out my Patreon. But women are often so subtle with a man in their rejection that if the guy is clueless enough, or if he just so strongly believes in the potential of the relationship, he doesn't even understand that he's being rejected. He can lose weeks, months, sometimes years chasing after a girl, thinking that if he just works harder, if he's just a little bit more perfect, then maybe he's going to have a chance. You know, if I just prove to her that I'm a really good friend, I'm not going to break up our friendship. If I just prove to her that I'm different from all those other guys, maybe she'll eventually go out with me. Maybe she'll eventually sleep with me. And he doesn't understand that she made the decision to cross you off her potential boyfriend list years ago. So you see what happens here is there's this mismatch that has occurred between what he understands at a gut level is occurring in terms of this rejection and what he's actually being told. It drives him nuts. He's thinking, well, where do I stand? Are we heading somewhere? Do I have a chance? Is there a potential in this relationship? Am I attractive or not? And it leaves him in this unbearable sort of limbo situation where he senses that he's being rejected and that he's unattractive, but he never actually gets that confirmation. And it's like this itch that refuses to be scratched. And you see, if you've been in that position, why rejection, explicit rejection, could actually be preferable. You just want somebody to tell you to your face, yes, you are being rejected, and here are all of the reasons. It might hurt, it might be painful, but it's the truth, and the truth will set you free. I absolutely hate to think of guys out there suffering, thinking that they have a chance with a woman, and they actually don't. She's just leading them on because, you know, she's not brave enough or not really compassionate or decent enough of a person to explicitly reject him. And so she leaves him in limbo. She leads him on thinking he has a chance. I just hate that. If you're in a situation like this where you think that a girl is potentially rejecting you, but you're not quite sure if you should keep pursuing it, hit me up. Send me your situation over Hey Hero and tell me what's going on, and I'll send you a personalized video in response. I'll tell you if you've been rejected or not. It would be a pleasure of mine to set you free from this kind of trap. But do you see how this feeling of rejection is often not localized to one specific girl? It's not like one failed relationship, one bad date. The guy, he feels this overwhelming sense that he's been rejected romantically and sexually throughout his entire life. And even though he can't pinpoint exactly where this feeling comes from, he knows it inside his heart. He has that gut level of, yes, I've been rejected. That's why I think that from a certain perspective, it's psychologically healthy to crave rejection, because at least then, when you're being explicitly rejected by a woman, your external reality and your internal reality finally sync up. And that's necessary. That's what takes you out of limbo, because there's a number of emotions that need to be properly processed when it comes to criticism and being judged unworthy or undesirable. When you're getting rejected, there's an emotional response to that. And you can't have that emotional response unless you see the rejection explicitly. So it's like the flood walls breaking, the dam breaking, all the water gushes out. Finally, when you get that face-to-face explicit rejection, it allows you to actually confront these emotions and process them. Now, what you do with that afterwards, you are now empowered because you know what the map is. You know where you're meant to be going. You either choose like different types of girls, the ones that are more in line with your values that won't reject you, or you improve yourself so you get rejected less often. But at least now you have a plan of action. You haven't been told the entire time, oh, it's not you, it's me. You know, you're a great guy. You're perfect. Any girl would be lucky to have you. Because that just drives men crazy to hear that when they've constantly been told what a great guy they are, and yet they're also getting rejected in practical terms. What a lot of men discover as well is that it's not as bad as they imagined it to be, right? So getting rejected, it brings all these things to the surface, and monsters, they exist in the dark. You know, the best way to vanquish them is to bring them to light. And so all the time that they had this sort of implicit, hidden rejection, it just got bigger and bigger in their mind and in their subconscious until they're thinking, God, I must be the worst, most disgusting person in the world. No woman wants to touch me. No woman wants anything to do with me. But actually, when they finally get rejected, it's like, that wasn't so bad. I can handle that. Really, the whole thing just comes down to authenticity. You know, men crave rejection because they want an authentic response. They want to know what the truth is. They want reality. They don't want to be fed sweet sounding lies. They want to know the real deal, because lies are basically pointless. You can't do anything with lies. You know, nobody ever made progress, you know, just based on false information. But once we're given real actionable data, then we're empowered to do something. And so as much shame as it can bring up, and as much, you know, hurt feelings and pain, I think it's always preferable to actually confront reality. And it's one of the hallmarks, I would say, of a high quality man, his ability to confront reality as it truly is. And I only really enjoy spending time with men who've got that commitment to reality, who would prefer to hear the truth, even if it's painful, than some, you know, nice fantasy or delusion. And if that describes you, like if you're like me, you prefer hearing the truth, then please hit the subscribe button, join this community. And if you're already subscribed, hit the like button, show your support. But all of this is why whenever I speak to women about rejecting men, I always tell them to be honest. I say, as long as it's safe for you to do so. Obviously, if the guy is creepy and delusional and potentially violent because he can't handle rejection, then yeah, just lie because you need to out of your own self-survival. But if he's just a normal, decent guy, then please tell him the truth. Women tell themselves that they reject men with lies out of compassion. Oh, I didn't want to hurt his feelings. You know, I want him to be a good person. I call bullshit on that. That's not the real reason that women lie in rejections. They do it for selfish reasons. They don't want to deal with an awkward conversation. They don't want to feel like they're responsible for rejecting a man. So they want to preserve their own virtue. They want to preserve their image of them as like this nice, sweet girl who's kind and sweet to everybody. Lies are not kind to men. As long as he can emotionally handle it, you should be telling him the truth. That's what a high quality woman will do. She'll go through all of the true reasons why she's not interested in dating this man. If she truly has compassion for him, that's what she'll do. A low quality woman, she's not going to do that. She's just going to take the easy route. Or often what happens is she doesn't want to admit the real reasons why she's rejecting him because it makes her sound shallow. Like the example from earlier, if she genuinely doesn't want to date a guy who has less than 100,000 followers on Instagram, she's not going to tell somebody that, because that makes her seem like an awful, superficial person, which she is. She's not going to say, well, I only date men who are 6 feet, or I only date men who make $250,000 a year, or I only date men who are whatever, this well-built, this attractive. You know, pick your poison. If she's not keen to actually confront her own reasons, then she'll look from the whole list of reasons that she's rejecting you, and she'll choose the one that makes her sound the most virtuous, the nicest, and then she'll tell you that reason. All the real reasons, all the other ones that make her look like a shallow, superficial person, she's not going to tell you those. So anyway, I know it's a bit of a strange topic today, but in case you're one of these guys who craves rejection and you don't know why, like it actually sounds interesting and appealing to you to have a woman sit down, you know, a woman that you're attracted to, and for her to tell you all the things that are wrong with you, all the reasons why she wouldn't date you. If that sounds like an experience you'd quite like to have, and you think that you're crazy, you think that you're masochistic, I'm telling you, I get it. I think that there is room for that. I think that in a lot of cases it could be psychologically healthy, so don't feel bad about it. Women can have insecurities and self-esteem issues, and they can be particularly sensitive to judgment and criticism if they feel like you're not appreciating what they're doing, or if they feel like they're letting you down in some way. And recently somebody asked me, how am I supposed to have a conversation with my girlfriend, letting them know that I'm not satisfied with our sex life without her feeling ashamed? It's a complex topic, and I have a whole bunch of advice for how to navigate that very delicate situation. It's the topic of my latest Patreon video, so if you want to see that, go and sign up there. It's just $5 a month. Check out all the amazing topics you get access to. I'd love to see you over there.